Hello friends and welcome. My name is Jenny and this is going to be a restorative yoga practice. So for those of you unfamiliar with Restore, it is a beautiful, slowed down, gentle practice where we'll bring in some gentle movement into the body, get into some deep meditative stretching and breathing. We'll use props to support us, and this is a great way to really find some peace in the body and some peace in the mind. So for this practice, you are going to want some props. So take some time to scour the house and see what you got that can work. But we do want a bolster or a couch cushion, a stack of pillows, a rolled up blanket, something along those lines. We're going to want a blanket or two of various sizes. You can kind of see what works best for you. You'll also want a block or two or something similar size, shape, and giving you a little firmness for support. And another thing I would like to suggest is to turn on some peaceful, relaxing music. You are welcome to go to my Spotify account, Jenny Wigham, and I do have some restorative yoga playlists, so you can turn on one of those or use that as inspiration. But some nice calming music is just a beautiful addition to this practice. So let's jump into it. To start, I'll have us on our backs. You're welcome to lie flat on the back if that would feel good. You could also bring in a bolster beneath the knees. You could bring the blanket behind the head. But just take some time to find a nice reclined pose. The hands can be doing whatever feels good. They could be alongside the body, palms turned up. They could come out into a T. They could come onto the belly. So take as much time as you need to really start to settle in. And as you do, start to tune into the spine. Bring some length to the spine, even as you're lying down. So we have this nice long spine, nice highway for energy to travel up and down the length. And start to settle into stillness. Feel free to let a sigh or two out of the mouth. And take this time to start to unwind. Allowing yourself to be held and supported by the earth. And really feel into the parts of you that are touching the ground. Feel that contact, feel that grounding. And start to find your breath. And as you feel ready, starting to find some length to your inhale, some length to your exhale. Slowing down and drawing out the breath. Allowing yourself to continue to melt into the support of the earth. And with the breath, start to just check in with the body. On a physical level, noticing how you're feeling, where you're feeling it. If there's anywhere that may need a little extra love or attention today. Check in with yourself on an energetic level. Are you feeling energized, ready to go? Are you feeling a little lacking? Are you feeling restless? Just without judgment, just acknowledge your energetic levels and check in mentally, emotionally. How are you feeling? Where are you feeling it? We're not trying to ignore or bypass anything. We don't want to change. We just simply want to acknowledge our emotions, acknowledge our bodies, acknowledge where we are in our present moment. We'll take a few more rounds of breath here. Now, if you'd like, you're welcome to just focus on some deep breathing, drawing the breath in and out of the nose. Or you could kick in ujjayi breath, finding an activation in the muscles in the back of the throat. And use this information that you're gathering during this time of check-in to move through your practice in ways that feel good. Finding what feels right in your body. Creating options of your own to explore if what I am suggesting doesn't feel good. And know that whatever it is that you're feeling, whatever it is that you're experiencing, it is valid. Allow it to be a part of the experience. Allow it to be part of the information that you are gathering. Now, as you feel ready, if you have any props supporting you, gently start to move those off to the side, but keep them within reach. And then we'll take a nice big good morning stretch, sending the legs out, sending the arms overhead. Feel free to let a sigh out of the mouth. You can roll out through the ankles, through the wrists, wiggle through the fingers, spread out through the toes. And then releasing the arms down alongside the body. We're going to set up what I've heard called banana pose, or I like to call it reclined moon. So we'll start just by raising the right foot up just a little bit and stepping it out towards the right. And then lifting the left foot up and stepping that over towards the right. And maybe we take that a few more rounds. Nice and slow, moving both legs out towards the right. You could even cross the left ankle on top of the right to find this nice half crescent shape, a nice side stretch all the way down the left side of the body. Feel into that nice stretch for the outside of the hip. You might even be feeling it into the lower back. You're welcome to stay here or start to bring the upper body in. Gently lift the head, shifting it over towards the right. And then lift the shoulders, shifting them over towards the right. And maybe you take that a few more rounds until you find this nice stretch in the upper body as well. Arms could stay alongside the body, or you could reach them up overhead, completing our full banana shape or crescent moon shape on the ground. You could even grab the left wrist with the right hand. Both shoulders are still connected to the ground, so we're not rolling onto the right side, and we're not crunching into the right side. We're just opening up and expanding through the whole left side of the body, finding this full body side stretch. Soften in the face. Tune into the breath. A couple more rounds of breath here. And then nice and slow, we'll just come out the way we came in. So releasing the clasp of the wrist if you had it, slowly starting to lower the arms back down alongside the body. Gently inviting the head and the shoulders back towards neutral. Take your time. Once the upper body is back at plumb line, just pause for a moment. And then slowly start to step the legs back towards neutral. Take your time, no rush. And once you get back to neutral, find that length in the spine and just notice. Notice the body. Notice the differences you feel on each side. And then when you're ready, we'll start to take this over to the other side. So gently lifting the left leg, stepping it out towards the left. Slightly lifting the right leg, stepping it over towards the left. Maybe taking a few rounds of that. Finding that crescent shape with the low body. You could even end with the right ankle crossed on top of the left. Hip bones are grounded, so we're just getting this nice stretch through the outside of the right leg, up into the hip, maybe even into the low back. Again, you're welcome to stay here, or if you'd like to invite the upper body to the party, lift the head, let it shift over towards the left, and then lift the shoulders, let them follow. Take as many rounds as that as you'd like till you find the crescent shape with the upper body. You're welcome to stay here with the hands alongside the body or raise the arms overhead, completing our crescent shape or our banana shape. You could even grab the right wrist with the left hand, and the shoulders are connected to the ground. And we're not scrunching through the left side of the body, but we're opening up and expanding through the right. Breathe into that space you're creating. Find your breath. And as you feel ready to come out, no rush, but whenever you feel complete, again, nice and slow, just as we came in, we'll start to release the wrists and lower the arms down. Slowly starting to bring the upper body back towards plumb line, lifting the head and the shoulders, coming back towards neutral. Take your time. And then pause for a moment, and then start to bring the legs back towards center. And when you get there, once again, just take a moment to notice, to feel, to observe. And then nice and slow, we're going to draw the knees in towards the chest. If you have any low back issues or are still working on core strength, just allow the knees to come in one at a time. You might want to give a little tuck through the tailbone and grab onto the outsides or tops of the knees. You can even wrap the arms around, hugging the legs in. Some gentle rocking side to side might feel good here, or finding some circles through the knees, pressing the low back into the mat and getting a nice little back massage. And then when you feel ready, we'll slowly start to release the feet down towards the ground. Knees stay bent, and we'll walk the heels in towards the glutes. You may want to bring a little puffing of the chest. You can tuck the shoulder blades under, nothing too exaggerated here. And then you're going to want a block or a bolster or something similar handy,
because we're going to come into a supported bridge. But before we do that, we're going to bring a little more warming up into the low back with some moving bridge or pelvic lifts. So press into the feet, spread out through the toes, find a solid connection there. And we're pressing into the feet to activate through the legs. Press into the shoulders, and then nice and slow, we're going to start to scoop the tailbone down. Belly draws down, and then we're going to lift the hips up. Just come up as high as feels okay. And then on the exhale, nice and slow, lower the hips back down. Awesome work. Now try to work one vertebrae at a time. We're going to repeat this a few more times. So inhaling to lift through the hips. Again, just as high as feels okay into your bridge pose. And exhale to lower down nice and slow. You're welcome to bring in some arm movements here if you'd like to get the shoulders involved. On the inhale, as you raise the hips, you could raise the hands up towards the sky. They could even come overhead. The arms could stay overhead if that feels okay as you lower the hips down. Or if you'd like, lowering the hips and lowering the hands down at the same time. So let's take a few more rounds here. Finding that activation into the feet, the pressing into the shoulders to find that lift in the hips. Awesome work. And then when you're ready, we'll settle into our supported bridge. So with the hips lifted, you're going to slide either a block or a bolster or a cushion or something similar underneath the hips and set the hips back down. So the block or something similar is going to give you a little more structure and some potential options for height. So you could come up a little higher if you'd like. And the bolster going to give you, or the cushion is going to give you a little softer landing, a little more surface area to work with. So one's not better than the other. It's just whatever works for you and whatever gives you that desired lift in the hips that still feels good in the back. And we want the chest lifting towards the chin, but the chin lifting towards the ceiling. So we've got a little space in the neck here. We're not crunching the neck down and we're not hyperextending the head back. Awesome work. Allow the low back to spread out. And this kind of takes the activation out of the feet. That's okay. Awesome. Now this is bringing in a little back bending, a little stretch for the hip flexors. You're welcome to explore that a little more by maybe starting to extend one leg out at a time along the ground. And if it feels okay experimenting with one leg at a time, maybe eventually, maybe not today, or maybe today, then both legs will come out. But stay in tune with the back. Nothing forceful, nothing aggressive. We don't want any pain or anything forceful here. No compressing through the low back. Awesome work. We'll take a few more rounds of breath here. And as you feel ready, if one or both legs are extended out, we'll start to walk the feet back and then lift the knees so the feet come up off the ground. And we'll take this into a supported shoulder stance. So you want to make sure that if you're using makeshift props, that you feel nice and supported here. So you're going to be extending the legs up towards the sky. Now, this is a great way to practice inversions in a very safe and gentle way. An inversion is basically just getting the legs above the heart. And so this is a great way to reverse circulation in the legs, a nice little rest for the legs and feet, and a nice release for the low back. And there is a little sweet spot with the legs extended. The knees could be bent if that feels best for you, or if you have tighter hamstrings, knees can definitely stay bent. And there is a sweet spot where the heels in line with the hips and the tops of the femurs sink into the hip sockets, and it doesn't take much effort to keep the legs raised here. You could also scooch towards a wall and send the legs up the wall if that support would feel better for you. And you're welcome to find stillness here, or maybe start to bring in a little gentle movement, maybe just starting to spread out through the toes or pointing and flexing through the feet. You could roll out through the ankles. You could also bring in some larger movements of exploration. You could start to scissor the legs side or open. You could take the legs out to the sides. You could bend the knees, bring the feet together. Feel free to explore here. You could even start to bring the toes overhead towards a plow pose, but stay aware, this is a pretty deep stretch for the low back and the hamstrings. So we'll take about another minute or so here, and you're welcome to explore this with the legs extended. If your supported bridge felt better, if coming into that little back bend felt good, lots of options to explore here. You're welcome to find stillness or explore with some movement. Just finding what feels good in your body. Two more rounds of breath. As you feel ready, if the feet were raised, plant them firmly on the ground. And once again, find that solid connection to the feet. So you can press into the feet, activate through the legs, lift through the hips, high enough that you can slide the prop out from underneath, and then nice and slow, gently start to set the hips back down. And then from here, feel free to take any movement that would feel good. Maybe it's drawing the knees back in towards the chest, tucking through the tailbone, rocking side to side. You could plant the feet, walk them out a little wider than hip distance, and take some windshield wipers. Awesome work. When you're ready, we're going to roll onto one side of the body and gently press our way back up to a comfortable, well, we're going to come into a tabletop pose. So take your time to get there. We want to set this up very mindfully. So you want to have the ankles in line with the knees, hips stacked over the knees, pressing into the tops of the feet.
Spread out through the hands. The wrist could be underneath the shoulders or walk forward slightly. Lengthen through the spine, gaze towards the ground, belly draws in. And we'll take a few rounds of cat-cow. Inhaling to drop the belly. Pelvis tilts up, gaze lifts, heart lifts. Exhale, round it out. Draw the belly in, tuck in through the chin, tuck in through the tail. Take a few more rounds like this. Linking the breath and the movements. Working with a little love for the spine today. A few more rounds of breath. And as you feel ready, we're going to set up a child's pose. Now for a regular child's pose, you're welcome to just send the hips back, stretch the arms overhead, and release down. A few ways that you can use props to support you. You could bring your blocks or a bolster in front of you, raising the hands up on them. And then as you lower the head and chest down, it creates more space to get more opening through the shoulders, through the chest. You could bring your bolster or blanket, a rolled up blanket or cushion in between the legs for a little support here. And as you lie down, maybe bringing in a blanket or a block to rest the head. And if you have sensitive knees, you could also roll up a blanket or use a bolster. And set it across the calves. So you have a little support here, not so much bend in the knee as you lower down. Awesome work. So take your time to find your version of child's pose, however you'd like to take it today. Whether you choose to use props or not, no wrong way to do this. Arms could extend overhead. They could come down alongside the body. They could even start to reach back for the feet. Feel the grounding. The grounding sensation of this pose. Allowing the low back to spread out. And this is one of those poses that you can take anytime, in any practice, throughout your day. This is a great way to connect to yourself, to ground, and to feel. Take about 5 more rounds of breath here. Awesome work. As you feel ready, gently start to walk your way back up. And we're going to meet in either a kneeling or seated position. We're going to give the neck and shoulders a little love. So a few options here. If you'd like to bring in a stretch for the feet, we'll prop the toes. You may need to physically tuck the little pinky toe underneath. And we're going to send the hips back onto the heels. Now know that the more weight you put on the heels, the more intense the stretch is going to be in the feet. So you're welcome to bring in a block or a cushion of some sort to put in between the heels to take some of that weight off. And if this doesn't feel great in the feet or in the knees, you're welcome to just come into a seated position. You could sit up on a prop. You could also stay in hero's pose just without the tuck of the toes. Just come down onto the tops of the feet. You still get a nice stretch for the ankles, for the tops of the feet. Awesome work. So take your time to find your seated position or your kneeling position. And if you choose to sit cross-legged, again, I would suggest sitting on a blanket or something just to lift the booty. That little lift helps to tilt the pelvis forward so you can find some nice length in the spine. So that's really what we're looking for here, is some nice length in the spine. And then we're going to relax in the shoulders, relax in the face. The arms can just rest alongside the body, hands on the legs. Inhale to reach up through the crown of the head. On an exhale, drop the right ear over towards the right shoulder. Open up through this space that you're creating here. Breathe into the neck and shoulders. You're welcome to keep the arms as they are, or you could reach out through the left arm. The fingers could point towards the ground. They could come parallel. You could play with the placement of that arm in space. And it's all just exploring this opening in the neck and the shoulders. Another option would be bending the elbow, bringing the hand to the low back and drawing the elbow back. So just again, finding what feels good, maybe even a little subtle nod of the head. Finding your breath. Beautiful work. As you feel ready, release the left hand down. Bring the right hand to the right side of the head and gently assist the head back up towards neutral. Awesome work. Inhale to lengthen up. Exhale, drop the left ear over towards the left shoulder, opening up through the right side of the neck. And you're welcome to stay here or extend out through that right arm. You could play with the angle or the placement in space. And you could also bend the elbow, bring the hand to the low back, drawing the elbow back, or a little gentle rocking through the head. Breathe into the space you're creating, encouraging a release of the neck and shoulders. And if you're in that foot stretch, how are your feet feeling? Breathe into it. If at any point you need to untuck through the toes, feel free, but know that this is very beneficial for the feet and that you can do hard things. Awesome. As you feel ready, release the left hand down. Right hand down. Bring the left hand to the side of the head. Gently press the head back up towards neutral. Awesome work. Inhale, send the arms out to the side, raise them up towards the sky. Interlace the hands, open up through the palms, bring the palms to the back of the head. Elbows draw back. Inhale, press the head into the hands as you lift through the chin. And exhale, drop the chin down towards the chest. Awesome work. A few more rounds like this. Inhale to open as you press the head into the hands, elbows draw back. Exhale, tuck the chin in towards the chest. You could even let the elbows slowly draw together. Let's do one more here with a hold. Inhale to open and pause. Notice if the shoulders are creeping up by the ears, allow them to drop down. We're finding length in the throat, lifting in the chin without throwing the head back. So we're protecting those delicate bones in the neck, but bringing in some strengthening by pressing the hands into the head, head into the hands. So we're protecting while strengthening and stretching. Awesome work. One more deep inhale here. And on the exhale, slowly start to drop the chin down towards the chest. Elbows start to drop together. And the elbows are hanging heavy. We're not using the hands to pull the head down. Nothing forceful here. We're just bringing in a little extra weight for gravity to work with. But if that doesn't feel awesome, feel free to just release the hands. Getting this nice stretch in the back of the neck and into the upper back. Awesome work. As you feel ready, release the hands, start to raise the head back up to neutral, and we'll take some neck rolls. So we'll be combining those 4 little neck stretches that we did. So we'll inhale to lengthen up through the crown of the head. Exhale, drop the right ear towards the right shoulder. And then slowly continue to drop the chin down towards the chest. Start to roll the head over till the left ear is hovering over the left shoulder. And then as we raise the head, again, we want to protect the neck. So bring that lift in the chin without dumping all the head or all the weight back into the head. Awesome work. So slow, intentional neck rolls. And here you're welcome to pause at any point if you have a particularly sticky area, anywhere that maybe needs a little massage, a little extra love. It's encouraging a release of tension, dropping any excess weight you're carrying on the shoulders. Awesome work. When you're ready, reverse the direction of those circles if you haven't already. Fantastic work. Slowly start to roll the head back towards neutral. And we'll take an inhale to raise the ears up towards the shoulders. Your shoulders towards the ears. And exhale, roll them back and down. I'd actually like you to I'd like to see you try to bring the ears to the shoulders. All right, a few more like that. Awesome work. How are those tootsies feeling? Feeling those feet? So we'll lift up, untuck through the toes, remove any props you were sitting on, and we'll come into a seated position, cobbler's pose. If you were doing that foot stretch, I'll tell you now it is called screaming foot pose, so you might have been feeling them. So let's give them some love. Give your feet a nice little massage. Awesome work. All right, now we are going to come into a supported fish pose. So this is going to be some more work for the spine, a little bit of back bending. And there's a few different ways that you can do this. One is to bring your bolster or your cushion across the mat. And then you may want to have a block or a blanket there. So we want it near the back of the mat. And as we lie ourselves down, we want our cushion to hit us at the ribs. So the sits bones are grounded. We're getting this lift in the back of the heart, and then we're releasing the head down towards the ground. Now you could bring a little lift through the chin, find an extension here without scrunching up through the neck. For more traditional fish pose, if that doesn't feel awesome in the neck,
bring that block or blanket in for some support, but leave space for the shoulders to drop back and down. And your choice for the legs, they could be extended out for, again, more of a traditional looking fish pose, or you could bend the knees and plant the feet on the ground. And if this is still a little too much action in the low back, especially if you have a larger, firmer cushion or bolster, you could even bring a blanket at whatever little lift you want underneath the booty, just to help kind of decrease that intensity. So lots of options here. We're getting this beautiful opening across the chest, working some beautiful back bending. So you can just find what works for you, find what feels good here. We'll take about 10 or so more rounds of breath. Two more rounds of breath. And then as you feel ready to come out, we want to bring the hands to the head to offer the neck some support. And you can either just raise up to neutral. You could do a little sit up and come all the way up, or roll onto one side and press yourself up. Awesome work. Now we're going to take a similar pose but offer a little more support in the spine and get some length in the spine. So we're going to flip the bolster or our cushion so that it can support the whole length of the spine. You could also roll up, if you have a second yoga mat, you could use one of those, or you could roll up a blanket. This is when maybe a thicker blanket or a bigger blanket might come in handy. So you can use that blanket as a support here. We're going to lie the spine back along that blanket or the cushion, bolster, whatever you got going on. We're taking this into a heart opener. So again, this might be a little intense on the low back with all this arching. So you do have the choice of sliding a blanket or something underneath the booty to give it a little lift. You could even do a block to bring in some neutralization of the low back. And for this one, if it would feel good, we'll take it into a hip opener as well. You do have the options to keep the legs extended like we had in fish pose, or knees bent, feet wider than hip distance and letting the knees drop in on themselves. That's another option. Or taking this into a hip opener, bringing the bottoms of the feet to touch and allowing the knees to drop open. One last option that you could do to bring in a little more support for the spine is to slide a block or a book or something underneath the bolster, which gives it a little lift on one side, creates a little ramp, so that's a little more gentle on the low back. Getting this beautiful opening in the heart. This opening in the hips.
And this might feel a little intense. And we want sensation, but not anything that feels like pinching, burning, tearing, anything that feels like it's going to be causing any pain or injury. And a few ways that you can tell if you've gone too far is checking in with the face. If you're scrunching up, if you're wincing, if you're, look really uncomfortable, you've probably gone too deep into the pose. Another great way is to tune into your breath. If the breath starts to feel stagnant or forced, or like you have to hold the breath because you're so uncomfortable, then you've probably gone too far. So just allow yourself to find that edge where you find a good stretch. It might feel a little uncomfortable, a little vulnerable even, especially if if your body's not used to stretching in that certain way or moving in that certain way. So really tune into your body. Listen. Our bodies are constantly sending us messages, constantly telling us what it needs to function at 100%. A lot of the times when our body is talking to us, it does so very quietly, very subtly. And it takes a quiet mind and an openness to be able to hear and receive those little messages from the body. And yoga gives us that opportunity to really tune in and to build a positive relationship with our bodies. And when we listen and respond, we are reiterating that connection. Whereas if we are too distracted to hear the messages, if we don't have a positive relationship with our bodies and we don't give it what it needs, or if we just choose to ignore the messages from our bodies, after a while our bodies will go from a soft, subtle whisper to yelling at us. And I'm sure we've all experienced when the body yells and it does not feel good. So we really want to cultivate a healthy bond, a healthy relationship with your body. And that starts by listening, feeling, acknowledging, and accepting. We've got a few more rounds of breath here. As you feel ready to come out, you're welcome to bring the hands down to the thighs and gently draw them back together. And we want to just slowly start to roll onto one side of the body, pressing ourselves up and starting to clear the mat of props. We'll start to set up our Shavasana, or our final relaxation. But if you'd like to take any time to do any other final movements or stretches, anything that'll help round out your practice, feel free to explore those. And whenever you're ready, starting to set up our Shavasana. So you're welcome to, again, come onto your back. You could slide a blanket, a bolster underneath the knees. You could also wrap yourself up in a blanket. So take your time getting down to the ground, and if you've done enough lying down in this practice and you want to come to a seated meditation, or if lying on the back doesn't feel awesome, you could lie on the side or on your belly. You could also, once again, take the legs up the wall. Totally up to you. However you want to set up your Shavasana
is the right way. So take as much time as you'd like to start to settle in.
And when you find yourself in your Shavasana or your final relaxation, allow yourself to close your eyes and to really surrender, to let go and be present. Allowing the body to fully release and relax. Allow the breath to find its natural flow. Allow the mind to settle. Being fully present, fully aware. If you have more time to dedicate to your Shavasana, I would suggest pausing this video and taking as much time as you can. I usually try to offer 10 minutes in my class, but for the sake of the video, I will just simply suggest to take longer. And as you feel ready, slowly start to bring some movement back into your body. If you're lying down, slowly start to roll onto one side of the body and pause for a moment in a nurturing pose. Fetal position is an homage to the first yoga pose we ever took. Take a moment here to acknowledge yourself, giving yourself gratitude for carving out this time to give yourself this gift of movement, of breath, of awareness, of love. As you feel ready, gently make your way back up to a comfortable seat. I'll invite you to bring the hands to heart center or take any other meaningful gesture with the hands. Thank you so much, friends, for joining me for this restorative practice. I hope that it brought you some peace of mind, some ease in the body. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. I see you, I honor you, and I bow to you. Namaste.